My name is Troy, and this is facility D20, where we're always making cool stuff. And today we're going to be putting together an airbrush spray booth. Let's get this bad boy out of here and see what we're working with.
This was packaged really well. Here are all the parts that we needed: the hoses, the spin table, the lights, and the power cord. Crack the beer, turn down CC Minis.
Hey there, Nick with CC Minis, and today we're gonna build this. A big old work stop. Alright, let's do this.
It's a great channel, I'll link them in the description, make sure to check them out. Read the instructions, and started putting this thing together. Light rails, top, left, and right. Left and right sides. Added some paper to try to keep this thing clean. This was obviously the best part. Let me know in the comments if you have a spray booth or are interested in getting one. I'd love to know your opinion if you think these things are worth it. Tighten the hose clamp up. It only came with one. It should have came with two, because this piece was a little iffy fitting on.
Well, considering this is where my window is, I figured this is going to be the best spot to set up my airbrush booth. So let's vent it at the window, plug it in, and see what we're working with here.
There's a dimmer switch for the lights. You can see it goes from 45 lumens all the way up to 1703 on max. And you could dim it down to its lowest setting at 312 lux. So that's 1700, and 54 is the base in the room. The exhaust fan also has an adjustable switch. You see here it pulls pretty hard. There's a lot of force coming at that exhaust port. Because it's got two fans. This is the dual fan unit. And in terms of how loud this thing is, you can see when you turn it up on bus, it's kicking around 82, 83 decibels, and then 50 slower speed. Let me know what you think. Do you think that's too loud? Would it get on your nerves? The filter medium is pretty generic. You should be able to pick this up at any hardware store. And behind it's just a grate. I went ahead and vented this thing out the window using the exhaust port, pinched it in tight, but I ended up having to add a little bit of duct tape just to keep this connections tighter. And this worked perfectly. This thing is actually pretty big. It's 21.5 inches long, 12 inches high, and 13 inches wide. The spinning disc is 7.5 inches. It weighs about 3.8 kilograms. The hose length is 5.5 feet, and the filter size is 16 by 7 inches.
The spray booth is all set up and we're ready to rock and roll. Now, I know it's designed for an airbrush, but I can't help myself. I'm going to see if it can handle some spray cans here. I'm probably going to make a real big mess in my brand new airbrush booth, but I really want to try this out to see if it's going to work. And what we're going to be, and to test this thing out, we're going to be painting up this corridor last stand STL from Lv427 Designs. This is a really important file because this could be the key to you winning a 3D printer. So before we get going, I want to tell you all about that.
If you like sci-fi terrain and want a chance to win a free 3D printer, head on over to Lv427 Designs and download the free file Corridor Last Stand, and you will automatically be entered to win. And while you're there, check out everything Lv427 Designs has to offer. They're making amazing STL files of interior spaceships and building complexes for everything sci-fi. Their files are support free and print up great. With some basic painting techniques, you can have an amazing setup in no time. Also, you can use the discount code D20-15 for 15% off your first order. So make sure to take advantage of that. Link is in the description below. Finally, it's time to test it out. And the first thing I did was use some spray cans. And as you can see, it collected the dust on the back of the filter and did a good job venting it out. I kind of maxed it out with this Polly Pocket haunted house build that I did. Then I used some normal airbrush priming here on this tank, and this little turntable worked great. Even used some clear coat on these minis. And I gotta say, I spent a good bit of time airbrushing in this booth here. And finally, we're moving into the Army Painter Tricolor system. This is all airbrushing work here, and I decided just to stick to the tail sections. The way I mix up paint there, as you just saw, I like to do it to a consistency, not a ratio. So when I get to the feel that I like, that's when I apply it. First is the heavy coat of the base color, followed by a downward shot of the mid color, and then finally a very specific shot of the high color. And this gives us some nice blending, contrasting tones.
So I've been using this spray booth for a few weeks now. I've done a lot of different types of painting in it. I've done some spray bombs, I've done some aerosols, I did some airbrush painting in it, and I gotta say that it works really, really well. It don't like totally cut down on the fumes in the air and the smell, but it definitely cuts it down by like 75%. And as for the aerosols and the dust that's floating around, it totally eliminates that and it sucks it way out the window. It makes a huge difference. It's a little bit loud, so after about an hour or so, it's probably gonna get on your nerves, especially with the air compressor rattling and going too, but it's not that bad, and it's definitely a lot better than breathing in some crap the whole time you're painting. So yeah, I do recommend getting this thing. If you're in the market for one of these things, I recommend this one. I do recommend this extra size here because you're going to need that kind of room. You can see I pretty much maxed it out already, but hey, it's better than nothing, and it gets the job done.
As always, I gotta take a second and thank the members of my Patreon. You guys are amazing. You really help this channel more than you'll ever know. If anybody's interested in my Patreon, I'll link it below. Also, check out CC Minis. Don't forget, I'll link a video of his here, or check out one of my videos as well. Catch you on the next one.